Guys, welcome to Sport Talk. The international break is done, thankfully, and let's get back to the Fantasy Premier League, the real stuff. Come on! So here we're going to present some players who might be able to help you in your mini league, fantasy league, however you're doing to overall and boost you up. Then maybe some players that not everyone else has got in their team, so hopefully give you a little kick. Starting with down at the bridge, we got Chelsea versus Man U. Starting with Chelsea. Got to go for that man Hazard. He's the man on form at the moment. He's producing every week. If you've done fantasy football for a few years, you'll know he normally only has one good game in every 3 or 4, and he goes off. But he's consistently delivering, and against this Man U team in the form they're in, maybe there's some points to be had. For Man U, I'm looking at the guy of the midweek, Marcus Rashford. I think Mourinho would be foolish to leave him out, particularly after the midweek display, and he could be a differential to help kick you up the league. For Bournemouth, I've gone for a fellow Welshman in David Brooks. Now, David Brooks is really adapted to the Premier League pretty well. He's producing a few assists, getting a couple of goals here and there. So that would be my one to watch for Bournemouth. For Southampton, it's got to be Danny Ings. He has offered a bit of a goal threat, and in each game he does look like he could get you a goal. He's certainly getting enough chances, and he's a definite starter, so get on him. Next, Cardiff v Fulham. For Cardiff, who are desperate for a home win to get their season going, I think up against this Fulham team, set pieces could be crucial. And I'd pick the man and the captain, Sean Morrison, to come up with a goal, particularly at set piece time. So that's why I'd put my money on there. For Fulham, I'd be looking at Schürrle. Schürrle's always got a goal in him, dangerous. You don't know which Fulham team's going to turn up. Cardiff have been quite suspect so far, leaking in quite a few goals. So Schürrle would be the man to have a little tipple on there. For Man City, normally most people would be saying about one of the big boys, Aguero, Sterling, Silva, Sané, but I'm actually going for a guy at the back who's been consistent, and I'm looking at Laporte. And the reason I'm picking Laporte is he has played every game, and so far pretty much picked up a clean sheet every time, whereas you can't guarantee with Pep or this Man City team just how well they're going to do due to the amount of options, and they got Champions League in midweek. For Burnley, I'm looking towards Goodmanson. If Burnley are going to do anything in this game, it's more than likely going to come from something Goodmanson produces. Next, Newcastle. For Newcastle, I think don't write them off just yet. I think there's a chance they're going to start getting on a good little run because they've had horrendous fixtures. And actually, in all the big games, they did pretty well, only keeping most of the big teams down to 2-1. My pick would be Jamal Lascelles. I think it's certainly up against Brighton, who aren't great on the road. A clean sheet should be in the offing here for Lascelles, and for the coming weeks, he's got some easy fixtures. For Brighton, I've actually gone for Martin Montoya because Newcastle just simply don't put the ball in the net enough yet. Might prove me wrong this weekend, but I think Montoya, pretty solid, gets forward, produces crosses. Perhaps Glenn Murray will get on the end of one. West Ham, I've gone for Declan Rice. Being able to get a defender in midfield is always crucial. I mean, I know he isn't going to give the assists, but differential, quite cheap, and West Ham have been quite solid at the moment, and he could be up for a bonus point or two, so I wouldn't rule out Declan Rice. For Spurs, I'm looking towards Son. Too good a player not to come good, and he's going to start bagging them soon. Especially if Harry Kane's still playing in this slightly deeper role. You'd expect either Son or Lucas Moura to be further forward, but my money's on Son to do something there. Wolves currently have the player who is frustrating me to high heaven, Matt Doherty. 4 weeks ago, I was thinking to myself, get Matt Doherty, and I didn't. I've regretted it ever since. So it pains me to say it, but Matt Doherty is the player you should definitely have in your team currently. For Watford, gone for Will Hughes. Watford, really inconsistent team. You don't know what you're going to get with them. But Will Hughes, providing a bit of ammunition for the boys up front, could be good. Huddersfield, this was a tough one. I mean, the options are pretty limited on what you're going to go for here. So I'm going for a back-to-the-walls job in Jorgensen. Perhaps be a threat at set pieces, even though Liverpool have improved recently. But this isn't one I'd put my mortgage on. For Liverpool, I think a man is going to be increasingly important for them, Shaqiri. If Salah and Mane both nursing a couple of injuries, plus the European fixtures in midweek, could be some rotation by Klopp, particularly with the midfielders starting to get a few more injuries. So I think we'll see a lot more Shaqiri. And so far in his Liverpool appearances, he has had a spark and looked like making something happen. So look towards Shaqiri. Everton, the main man at the moment for them is Gylfi Sigurdsson. Everything good that they're doing is going through the guy. So yeah, Sigurdsson is the one to pick currently. I mean, he's on all the set pieces, dead balls. So yeah, and he does link it all together nicely. For Palace, I've gone for Van Aanholt. Zaha's normally the main guy, and he is, but often when Palace do well, it's because it has come from the left-hand side, and particularly Van Aanholt does seem to get a goal, an assist, and if not, a clean sheet. Arsenal, outside of the obvious in terms of Lacazette and Aubameyang, the midfielders are all a bit up and down in terms of Ozil, Ramsey, Xhaka, Torreira. There's no consistent goals or assists there. So I've gone for Hector Bellerin at the back. He's starting to get back to his early days where he was bombing forward, providing crosses, getting assists. So he'd be my bet there. For Leicester, I've gone for Harry Maguire. Imperious in midweek, played really well again for England. Looks a threat in both, in the penalty box, and looks very good defensively as well, clearing. So worst comes to worst, I think he'll probably end up with some bonus points. And Arsenal do still look suspect from corners and set pieces, so perhaps a threat goal to be had there as well. So that's it, guys. That's the tips for the week. Let me know in the comments below how you've got on. Hopefully you have a good weekend, and let's discuss next week. Until then, it's been Dan on Sport Talk. Cheers.